On the surface, she was a leisurely and elegant lady in everyone's eyes, but secretly, she was having an affair with a young and handsome military officer. Whenever her husband went out, she would meet with the officer, Warren, in a secluded meadow in the suburbs. The two would express their love and affection for each other in this deserted place. Gradually, Anna became more and more reckless. At a concert, she openly engaged in physical intimacy and exchanged affectionate glances with the officer, even whispering sweet nothings to him. These intimate actions caused much discussion among the upper-class society. Her husband, unable to bear it any longer, advised her to behave herself for the sake of the family's reputation and future, but she ignored him, completely engrossed in her affair. This was because there was no love between her and her husband. When she was only 17 years old, she married the diplomat, Karl, who was 20 years older than her, at the behest of her parents. After marriage, she gave birth to a clever and lovely boy. Although life was uneventful, it was also peaceful and stable. While everyone looked at her with envy, the smile on Anna's face became less and less frequent, because her husband, a politician, only cared about his career and the family's reputation. He was rigid, serious, and rarely smiled, making her feel no warmth at all. Just when she was feeling lost about this marriage, she unexpectedly received a letter from her brother. It turned out that her brother had cheated on his wife with the family tutor, and his wife was threatening to divorce him after discovering the affair. However, the couple already had several children, and his wife was also pregnant with a baby who was about to be born. In order to save this marriage, Anna's brother's marriage was in jeopardy, so he wrote to Anna for help, hoping she could persuade his sister-in-law not to divorce him. After receiving the letter, Anna, braving the biting cold wind and the swirling snow of winter, still boarded the train to Moscow. At this time, she never imagined that this train journey would become the beginning of her tragic fate. After the train successfully arrived in Moscow, as Anna was getting off and preparing to go home with her brother, the train, which had suddenly stopped, slid forward a short distance, instantly crushing a worker who was repairing the train to death. Upon hearing that this repair worker was the sole breadwinner of his family, and that his wife and 5 children were waiting for him to come home, Anna felt pity and wanted to do something for him. At that moment, a cavalry officer named Lenski stepped forward from the crowd, took out a large sum of money from his wallet, and asked the conductor to hand it over to the worker's wife. Anna witnessed this scene, and a wave of emotion surged in her heart. She developed a certain fondness for this kind officer. After a short carriage ride, she arrived at her brother's house. As soon as she saw her sister-in-law, she began to strongly persuade her to forgive her brother's mistakes, because in the 1870s under the Tsar, it was very common for husbands to have mistresses, and as a wife, she should rationally view everything. She advised her sister-in-law not to abandon the entire family because of a momentary impulse. After Anna's persuasion, her sister-in-law finally chose to compromise and reconcile with her brother. Back to the story, on this day, the brother's good friend, a wealthy landowner from the farm, came to visit. He was preparing to propose to his sister-in-law's sister, Katie. He had fallen in love with the beautiful Katie at first sight, and now he didn't want to miss his chance. But when he knelt down and sincerely begged Katie to marry him, he was met with Katie's merciless rejection, because at this time, she already had someone in mind, the handsome and dashing officer, Warren. And in order to get closer to her beloved, Katie specially held a grand party at home, inviting Warren to attend. Unexpectedly, just before the party began, Anna, who was reading upstairs, unexpectedly met Warren. Their eyes met, and Anna's heart fluttered. She quickly instinctively looked away. Actually, Warren had already noticed Anna. At the train station, when he was picking up his mother, he happened to brush past Anna. Her charming face instantly captivated Warren, causing him to stare at her for a long time until Anna left. He never expected to meet her again here. He thought this must be a destined encounter. So, at the party that evening, although he was dancing with Katie, his eyes were always on Anna. Anna also seemed to notice Warren's passionate gaze, but she didn't forget her identity as a married woman and quickly tried to avoid him. During halftime, Warren aggressively approached her and invited her to dance. This time, Anna didn't refuse, but followed him without hesitation. At first, she felt a little uncomfortable, but as they danced, her emotional defenses gradually crumbled, and a smile unconsciously appeared on her lips. Just as she was immersed in this wonderful moment, she inadvertently caught sight of Katina's hurt expression and the similar gazes from the crowd. Only then did she snap back to reality, realizing that she was a married woman and shouldn't be so intimate with a young man in public. In a panic, she quickly stopped dancing and pushed Katina towards Warren's. But seeing the two becoming the new focus of attention on the dance floor, Anna felt a pang of guilt. To avoid completely losing control, she left Moscow early and boarded a train back to St. Petersburg that very night. On the way back, the restless Anna kept replaying the scene of dancing with Warren's in her mind. For the first time in many years, she felt a surge of joy, and for a moment, she didn't know what to do with these feelings. Just then, the train arrived at the station, and she decided to get off to get some fresh air. Unexpectedly, she saw Warren's again. She couldn't believe her eyes. It turned out that in order to be with Anna, Warren's had decided to give up his promising career in Moscow and follow Anna to St. Petersburg. After hearing about his decision, Anna scolded him for being too reckless and insisted. She was determined to show that she wouldn't like him, yet when he returned to his seat, a subtle hint of disappointment flickered across his face. Early that morning, as the train slowly pulled into the St. Petersburg station, her husband, Karenin, was already waiting for her. Anna smiled, taking her husband's arm and walking towards the station exit, her gaze unconsciously scanning the crowd, hoping to see the figure that had captivated her heart again. But she found nothing. Just when she thought Vronsky had given up and this brief interlude would end, she didn't expect that during her time in St. Petersburg, Vronsky would constantly be around, like a shadow. Whether at art exhibitions or on the ice rink, she would always catch sight of the figure that made her heart race. Although Anna would quickly lower her head to avoid him each time, the smile on her lips betrayed her feelings. For years, she had never encountered such persistent pursuit. This persistence made her feel a genuine sweetness, and gradually, she even began to have expectations. That day at the concert, after chatting briefly with a lady next to her, she began to actively look for Vronsky. Unexpectedly, Vronsky was also looking for her. Their eyes met, a silent exchange of understanding. Although there were few words, their hearts had already connected. After the concert, Vronsky approached Anna again. When he learned that she wanted to smoke, he immediately lit a lady's cigarette for her. But after taking 2 puffs, Anna accidentally choked on the smoke. Warren, the driver, casually accepted the cigarette and took a natural puff. These ambiguous actions between them were noticed by everyone present, and soon rumors about the two began to spread. Anna's husband, Karenin, also keenly sensed their inappropriate relationship. That day, he unusually appeared at the gathering, deliberately asserting his authority by taking Anna home. Back home, he initiated a conversation with Anna. At this moment, he remained surprisingly calm, neither angry nor reproachful, merely reminding Anna to consider appearances. However, this overly rational attitude only made Anna miss the driver's passion even more. Before long, the scandalous affair between the two reached the ears of Warren's friends. Unwilling to see Warren go astray, they advised him to focus on his career and not easily abandon his position and promising future for a woman. It was this advice from his friends that made Warren begin to re-examine his life. After some hesitation, he decided to leave St. Petersburg and take a job in Moscow. Before leaving, he sought Anna's opinion, which forced him to confront his feelings for the driver. He realized he couldn't lose this long-held affection, and at this moment, his emotions completely broke through the barriers of reason. Anna, in tears, begged him not to leave. When he reached out to Anna again, she hesitated only briefly before unhesitatingly. She threw herself into his arms. At that moment, the two broke free from the constraints of morality. After this affair, Anna began to date the driver, Vronsky, more boldly, until one day Anna discovered she was pregnant. When she nervously told Vronsky the news, he was overjoyed, because he no longer wanted to hide and sneak around with Anna. He longed to be openly together with her and build a real family of their own. At the same time, Karenin gradually noticed the affair between the two, but in order to maintain his reputation and dignity, he pretended that nothing was wrong, continuing to maintain superficial peace until a highly anticipated horse racing event completely shattered the carefully constructed facade of respectability. On that day, the racetrack was bustling with people. Anna's gaze constantly followed Vronsky's figure. When the race officially began, Vronsky, riding a snow-white military horse, made a dashing appearance, instantly becoming the focus of attention. But at this exciting moment, an accident suddenly occurred. The white horse was startled by something on the racetrack, and Anna suddenly stood up, screaming in distress. She even wanted to rush over to save him. At this moment, everyone's eyes turned to Anna. Karenin hurriedly grabbed Anna's arm, trying to maintain his last shred of dignity as a husband, but Anna just stood there, weeping uncontrollably, as if the driver on the stage was her real husband. This scene stunned everyone. The owner of the venue thoroughly searched the entire village of Cannon until it was confirmed that Warren the driver was safe. Only then did Anna put aside her worries and return home with Cannon. On the way back, Karenin still refused to face reality, believing that everything that had just happened was just his own illusion. He told Anna that her behavior today was inappropriate, but Anna didn't agree with her husband. Instead of discussing her feelings for Warren the driver, she directly confessed, "Warren the driver is my lover, that's why I was worried about him." This sentence completely shattered Karenin's last illusion, but he still remained calm, because what he truly cared about was not the breakdown of their relationship, but the potential damage the scandal could cause to his reputation. To prevent Anna from seeing Warren the driver, Karenin began to restrict Anna's social activities, confining her to the cold mansion every day, living a life of isolation. In this extremely oppressive atmosphere, Anna could no longer bear it and confessed the truth of her pregnancy to her husband, begging him not to treat her this way anymore. This news was like a sharp knife piercing Karenin's heart. He didn't understand what he had done wrong, but looking at the heavily pregnant Anna, he finally chose to let go. Having regained her freedom, Anna became even more unrestrained. Whenever Cannon went out to the office, she would invite Warren the driver to their home. The two would laugh and chat in the living room, completely disregarding the servants' disapproving glances. As rumors and gossip intensified, the entire upper class, the social circles were all discussing the couple's affairs, and ultimately, these comments affected Karenin's piety, touching upon the bottom line he valued most. In a fit of rage, he rushed home and proposed divorce to Anna, also demanding to take their son with him. Before leaving, he told Anna that he wouldn't step foot in the house again until the divorce proceedings were finalized. Thus, this hypocritical marriage completely came to an end. Shortly after, Karenin went to Moscow and presented his idea of divorce to Anna's family. Anna's brother was surprised but still advised him against acting rashly. Anna's sister-in-law also tried to persuade Karenin, hoping he could forgive her so that his heart could find peace. However, Karenin was completely disillusioned and unwilling to maintain this marriage that was only in name. A few months later, Karenin received a letter from Anna's family. It turned out that Anna had given birth a few days earlier. She had a beautiful and lovely daughter, but unfortunately, she contracted a serious puerperal fever. She begged Karenin to come and visit her. Out of hatred for Anna, he tore the letter into pieces. They say that a couple's bond lasts 100 days for every day they are married. After calming down, he still decided to go and see Anna. When Anna saw her husband return, she began to beg for his forgiveness. She didn't want to continue suffering her husband's resentment afterward, preventing her soul from finding peace. This filled Karenin's heart with struggle and pain. Thinking back on the happy moments he shared with Anna, he ultimately, unable to refuse forgiveness, he encouraged her to do the right thing, and unexpectedly, Anna's condition improved after receiving the missed message. Meanwhile, Vronsky's mother was furious upon hearing about her son's affair with Anna. She accused her son of having an affair with a married woman and demanded that he return to Moscow immediately and cease all contact with Anna. While he hesitated, Karenin also came to him, demanding that he leave St. Petersburg and promising that he would be allowed to visit Anna and their daughter if needed. Vronsky was deeply moved by this generosity, and after much thought, he agreed to the conditions, finally leaving St. Petersburg and returning to Moscow. Karenin thought his magnanimity would salvage the situation, but unexpectedly, Anna felt utterly despairing after her lover's departure. Thinking that she would never see her beloved again, she began to cry uncontrollably, wanting to follow Vronsky. Seeing all this, Karenin felt a chill in his heart, but at that moment, he still held a last glimmer of affection. He told her that if she chose divorce, she would lose everything she had, and as the guilty party in the marriage, she would not be able to legally remarry. This meant that her relationship with Vronsky would never be legally recognized, and even their daughter would be considered illegitimate. But even so, Anna still wanted a divorce. In utter despair, Karenin could only choose letting go. Anna then followed Count Vronsky to Moscow, living in a hotel. However, the 4 years away from her son soon led her to return to St. Petersburg. On her son's birthday, in a moment of quiet reflection, she wrote a letter, pleading with Karenin to allow her to see her child. Karenin, worried about stirring up public opinion again, coldly refused her request. Upon receiving the reply, Anna trembled with anger. In her fury, she tore the letter to shreds. Then, disregarding everything, she rushed to Karenin's house and broke down the door. Unlike the lively scene of previous birthdays, her son was now sleeping alone in his bed, as if escaping this broken world. This made Anna feel heartbroken, and she hugged her son tightly. At this tender moment, Karenin quietly appeared at the doorway, silently conveying that Anna shouldn't be there. The moment their eyes met, an unspeakable awkwardness filled the air. Anna could only suppress her heartache and turn away, leaving despite her son's cries and pleas for her to stay. She never looked back. Back at the hotel, Anna became listless and withdrawn, like a flower without shelter, withering away under the harsh realities of the world and the blows of human cruelty. Seeing Anna's sorrow and despair, Vronsky was puzzled but didn't know how to comfort her. Fortunately, he brought good news. His mother had prepared a new life for her, ensuring Anna's complete freedom. The two could move in together after getting married, but on the other hand, Karenina was reluctant to divorce, insisting on using the marriage to forever trap Anna. Faced with this awkward situation, Anna didn't seem to mind. She had already seen through the hypocrisy of this marriage and the upper-class society, and secretly vowed to break free from these heavy shackles. That day, Anna decided to attend the ball of the noble ladies. She wanted to use this act to declare to the entire upper-class society that she would no longer be bound by conventional views. Vronsky tried to dissuade her from this decision, but Anna went ahead anyway. Helplessly, Vronsky had to accompany her. When Anna took her seat at the ball, the noble ladies around her began to whisper to each other, and the lady next to her didn't even bother to hide the disdain on her face. The reason for this public opinion was that Anna had torn apart the veil of hypocrisy in upper-class society. In that society, aristocratic marriages had nothing to do with love. Most were tied to family interests. This also led to extramarital affairs becoming a tacit social contract. But only Anna dared to openly appear with her lover, so she was ostracized by upper-class society. The exclusion from others made Anna feel somewhat at a loss. When she looked at the man who made her give up everything with a pleading gaze, she found Vronsky's eyes flickering and evasive. Anna couldn't believe she had fallen into such a predicament. She only asked Vronsky why he didn't stand up to protect her. To this, Vronsky chose. He remained silent. Although he loved Anna, he couldn't abandon his social image for her. From that day on, Anna, devastated by the blow, cried day and night. The encounter at the party was like a nightmare, haunting her every moment. Even when she went to a restaurant to eat, people would point and whisper about her. Just as she was about to leave in tears, someone sat down opposite her. It was the sister-in-law whom Anna had persuaded to come back earlier. She first inquired about Anna's health, and then shared the news of Katie and Levin's marriage. It turned out that Katie had fallen seriously ill after her heartbreak, spending her days listlessly at home until she met Levin again, who had come to visit her. This time, she sincerely apologized to Levin for what happened before. Levin, who still had feelings for her, not only accepted the apology but also gently comforted her, hoping she would recover soon. This made Katie develop a fondness for him, so much so that she secretly observed his every move during dinner. When she heard him publicly declare, "I believe true love is unique and pure," she couldn't help but feel that their thoughts were surprisingly aligned, and that she had missed out on such an excellent man. So when Levin confessed his love to her again, she readily accepted his affection. Afterwards, she and Levin successfully married and moved to the farm to live. A year later, they had a lovely child, and their life was very happy and fulfilling. After hearing this news, and thinking about her own current predicament, faced with the predicament of her soul, Anna couldn't help but feel confused about her choices. At this moment, a bold idea suddenly came to her mind. Perhaps escape was the only way out. As long as she and Warren, the driver, moved to a rural area where no one knew them, far away from the gossip and rumors, they could live the rest of their lives peacefully together. Warren readily accepted this suggestion, but they disagreed on the departure time. Anna was eager to leave this painful place and insisted on leaving immediately the next day. However, Warren had an appointment with his mother to have dinner together the next day and hoped to postpone the departure until the day after. It was this seemingly insignificant argument that made Anna feel an unprecedented unease. She couldn't help but doubt whether this relationship could withstand the test of reality, and even felt that Warren had changed. So, she had a huge argument with him, but after her emotions gradually calmed down, she apologized to the driver and compromised. Looking at the heartbroken Anna, Warren felt very guilty. Finally, he agreed to Anna's suggestion and agreed to leave as planned the next day. However, when it was time to leave, Warren still hadn't packed his luggage. When Anna went to inquire, she unexpectedly discovered that Warren was secretly hiding a letter. Recalling that she had previously witnessed Warren having intimate conversations with other women on several occasions, she couldn't help but suspect Warren. Suspecting her husband was having an affair, Anna, who had been suppressing her emotions for a long time, finally exploded at this moment. She couldn't help but question him. What exactly is going on with that woman? Vronsky explained that it was just correspondence with their family lawyer, but Anna didn't believe him. She angrily accused him of betrayal, saying that his actions had led her to this point. Unexpectedly, this completely enraged Vronsky. He could no longer tolerate Anna's endless suspicion and immediately turned and left. A distraught Anna chased him to the door but lacked the courage to open it. Only when she heard the sound of the carriage driving away did she realize that she had truly been abandoned. Afterwards, she stood by the bed for a long time, hesitating, and finally changed into a red dress. She boarded a train to find Vronsky. During the train journey, she was tormented by her thoughts, constantly imagining Vronsky being intimate with other women. As the train slowly pulled into the station, a devastated Anna walked alone to the edge of the platform, recalling everything she had sacrificed for love, and the betrayal she now faced. In despair, she jumped onto the railway tracks, ending her short and tragic life, completing her final act of defiance against this hypocritical society with her death. Anna Karenina, directed by Joe Wright and starring Keira Knightley and Jude Law, is a drama film released in 2012. It is not only a shocking love tragedy but also a mirror reflecting humanity and society. Anna's tragedy makes, driven by a fervent yearning for true love, she ultimately succumbed to the merciless crushing force of society. Born into nobility, she refused to be a mere ornament in a marriage and still pursued love passionately. However, in an era with limited tolerance for women, her husband, Karenin, used their son as leverage to refuse a divorce, and her lover, Vronsky, revealed his indifference after their passionate affair. The ostracism from high society drove her to utter despair, ultimately leading her to commit suicide, ending her life. Anna's despair, on the surface, was a disillusionment with love, but it was actually a complete break with her own values and societal norms. Even passionate love couldn't withstand the erosion of reality. Behind Anna's romantic idealism lies the struggle of women in that era. Anna's story tells us that while pursuing freedom is courageous, if one entrusts their entire life to another, they will ultimately lose their footing. The film contrasts Kitty's happy and fulfilling marriage with Anna's reckless pursuit of love. Anna's death is a condemnation of a hypocritical society. In fact, Anna's predicament still exists today. Anxiety about appearance on social media, gender inequality in marriage, and the conflict between personal desires and moral responsibilities. Her story reminds us that in any era, we need to find a balance between individual freedom and social norms to move forward steadily. The value of life lies not in perfect happiness, but in living consciously, experiencing pain, and loving. That's all for today's movie sharing. Please like, comment, and share. I'm Shayu, and I look forward to seeing you next time.